Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Casual here, and today I would like to go over my full Blood Mage Spark Guide. In the last video, I got a few questions about the viability for campaign and how hard it is to transfer from campaign to endgame, so first I would like to start off with that. The footage that you're seeing here is my league start for Rise of the Ancients, and I would like to start off with that this is probably the easiest league start that I ever had so far, other than Lightning Arrow Ranger, of course. This build made the campaign a cakewalk, and the requirements to get this build up and running were very small, like very small. The only thing that this build really needs throughout the campaign is a decent amount of spell damage, and while using staves, we can achieve that pretty easily. The campaign portion of the build and the early mapping portion of the build both use staves. That way we can maximize the damage from Spark. Also, it is fairly cheaper than using wands, since two-handeds don't allow the use of a focus. So for all other gear other than our stave, we're mainly just looking for high amounts of resistances, so we don't take that much spell damage going through the axe. For our staves is of course spell damage, and plus the lightning spells also helps if you have some room. Of course, going through the campaign, the most you're gonna probably see is +2 to lightning spells, but those should also be fairly cheap. So if this is your second character, or you get a few exalts in the campaign, getting that plus the lightning spell skills will easily get you through the campaign. Even if you don't have it, it'll still be really good. So the transition from campaign to maps is fairly simple, and you can even do it while you're in the interludes. It only takes use of two uniques called the Mask of the Sanguimancer and Courtier of Crimson. These uniques allow us to take full advantage of our Ascendancy nodes, especially our third Ascendancy node, which makes a portion of our damage taken prevented, and that damage is then transferred for 4 seconds instead. So in terms of our other gear, other than those two uniques, we're just looking for resistances. For our rings, we are looking for lightning damage plus another bit of damage, whether it be spell damage or fire or cold damage. For our amulet, if you have the chance, using Choir of the Storm would be very beneficial, but if you can't use Choir of the Storm, whether it be levels or anything else, getting levels to all spell skills is really good, and spell damage is really good. But if you have the chance to use Choir of the Storm, it does make the game easy mode. So for our staff going into maps, we're looking for a +7 staff with a good amount of crit, which then can utilize the rest of our setup. So the full setup is over on our Mobilytics. We updated our guide to show campaign and early maps, so if you're looking for the full in-depth version of those two, be sure to look at our Mobilytics. Also, the gear shown in the early mapping portion of the Mobilytics will take you all the way up to T15 maps with ease. So if you are low on funds and don't have enough divines for the endgame setup, or even the budget endgame setup, be sure to just stick with the early mapping setup, and you should be fine. Now, with all of that out of the way, here is the new and improved endgame setup. So, first off, we have changed our Leech Ascendancy node, and now we're going Sanguine Tides. So Sanguine Tides, we consume 40% of our life lasts to get that much in physical damage for 5 seconds. And this, I don't know if this stacks or not. I don't think so. I think it'll just reset. But still, 40% increased physical damage is really, really good. So, with that being said, you might be asking, how are we sustaining life if we don't use spell damage as Leech? We get all of our life sustain from self-casting parry. So self-casting parry with our Xeraphi's Infamy and Invigorating Grandeur node, which is right over here, allows us to recover 50% of our total HP instantly. So what that allows us to do is spam our skills and instantly recover 50% of our HP endlessly. So we don't have to worry about our health or if enemies are going to hit us. We are able to cast endlessly. So next up on the list, we'll stick with the passive tree changes first. Next up on the list is our From Nothing Diamond, which has a radius conduit on it. This is pretty expensive. I got this for 100 divines. So this is conduit, and we are able to get all the passives around it, as you can see here. So these passives being Brainstorm, 20% increased lightning damage, Brain Freeze, 20% increased cold damage, Tempered Mind, 20% increased physical damage, and increased effect of fully broken armor, which we do now. Chakra of the Elements, which gains 8% of physical damage as both extra cold and extra lightning damage. Mainly extra cold damage. Remnant Attraction, which allows us to get our life remnants from 50% further away, which is really far away now. And Green Dreamcatcher, which is just 25% increased spell damage, which we have almost all the time. So these nodes allows us to further increase our damage without it being connected from a tree. Next up is our Megalomaniac, which allocates Invigorating Grandeur in dizzying hits. Obviously, we know what Invigorating Grandeur does now, which it just allows us to recover 50% of our HP, always. And dizzying hits, what it does is 10% chance to daze on hits, which might not seem like a lot, but it happens more than you think. And we have 25% increased critical hit chance against dazed enemies, which is pretty good. This costed us about 20 divine, so this was not that bad. Other than that, we did get some new jewels. I don't know if this was in the previous version or not, but we have 2 diamonds now with increased spell damage, lightning damage, and crit damage on both sides. Other than that, I don't think much has changed. We did get Sanguine Tolerance, so we just don't get Corrupted Blood anymore. Bone Chains, so we build Pin now, which also increases our damage. But I'm pretty sure everything else we have already had. So, going into our gear now, the first main thing that we have changed, other than Headhunter and Calandra's Touch, is our gloves. We crafted these gloves, which took around 40-ish divines. This craft was really stressful, but I will leave the crafting video in the description below, so you don't have to spend a fortune. But as you can see from these new crafted gloves, it grants us +2 to all projectile skills, which is really useful for increasing our spark damage, and it also grants us almost 50% chance to fire an additional projectile, which is useful for our general clear and bossing. Also, we finally upgraded our boots to something more useful than life. Our boots now give increased cooldown reduction rate, which is great for our refutation, and increased skill effect duration, which allows us to take off a few passive points from the tree, which we were allowed to put in somewhere else. Lastly, here the two big hitters, Calandra's Touch, which I don't think costs that much anymore. I think it's probably like 15 or 20 divine, somewhere around there. And of course, Headhunter, which increases our speed in maps, increases our damage through the buffs that we take from rare enemies, and our survivability through the buffs we take from rare enemies as well. And nothing else has changed. This is probably going to be the last update that I have, because everything else is way too expensive to just make a video for. So now with all of that out of the way, I would just like to say thank you for watching today's video, and I hope to see you all again in the future. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comment section below, or ask me on Twitch, twitch.tv/itscasual. I'll also have that in the description below. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and I will catch you laters. Bye bye. Hey guys, Future Kaz here. I forgot to mention that in order for self-cast parry and refutation to work, they need to be in weapon slot 2. If you use them both in weapon slot 1 and weapon slot 2, it will not work. So Spark only needs to be in weapon slot 1, it cannot be in weapon slot 2, and parry and refutation need to be in weapon slot 2 and not weapon slot 1. But apologies for the inconvenience, but yeah, I hope that cleared everything up. Anyways, enjoy the map, and I'll catch you laters.